Welcome to this podcast. It's making me thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is episode 124. Today's guest won a Daytime Emmy Award for her role as Amanda Wainwright in The Inspectors. You know her from all your favorite TV shows and movies, including Bright Lights, Big City, Northern Exposure, Hope and Gloria, Caddyshack II, Monk, and of course, she played Naomi in 2 season 4 Seinfeld episodes, The Watch and The Bubble Boy. Please welcome Jessica Lundy. Jessica, thanks for joining.
We get that out of the way.
Yeah, we were gonna get to that. Oh man, this is
sorry, I spoiled everything. I just can't get over. I'm 124 or 125
episodes.
Wow,
yeah, we've spoken to many guest stars, writers, you name it. It's been a wild ride trying to chronicle this great show, and clearly you're a big part of it. And Jessica Lundy joins us tonight. A Jersey girl, we just found out. It's always good to hear.
Yeah, my formative years.
Formative years.
Remember, but they were incredibly influential.
So take us back. Believe it or not, it's been 30 years since The Watch and The Bubble Boy. You were part of just an incredible run of episodes there. But yeah, so take us back. I mean, September 92. What do you remember? What was there an audition process? How'd the role of Naomi come about with that iconic laugh that you kind of just did?
You know what? It's funny. It was just on Comedy Central last night, so it was a great refresher. But I really don't have the greatest memory, but I do remember so many things about that experience because it meant so much. I was new in Los Angeles. I had gone to school at NYU and been in the city for a few years and gotten some jobs there. But this was really my first year or two in Los Angeles. And I had done a pilot that I was very excited about called Over My Dead Body with Edward Woodward, the actor who played the Equalizer. And it was a great experience. And I thought, this is it. You know, I made it, got a pilot, and it was canceled after 13 episodes. So I was back on the circuit looking for work. And I think this is one of the first guest roles that I went out for. And I do remember, I think some of your other guests talked about it, being in a big conference room and reading for Larry David and the other producers. And I'm not sure if it was there or after I got the job, but I remember auditioning several laughs. I knew it was a good sign, I guess, that they wanted to hear some. And I remember the minute came out, it was like, yeah, that's it. And I guess that's what sealed the deal.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we were curious if they had you audition the laugh. That's great that you...
I don't remember the others, but that seemed to appeal to Larry David right away.
Right.
And it really is the Woody Woodpecker song now that I've seen it again and you know, in the reruns. It really, when he does that, when Jerry does it, was perfect.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what they had in mind, but I'm glad it worked. I'm glad something worked.
Oh, it's great. You know, we were doing a little bit of research beforehand. Is it true that you also auditioned for Elaine at one point on Seinfeld? Is that true or no?
No.
We read that. I just wanted to clarify if it was true or not. Yeah.
No, I don't think. Well, it just makes me laugh to think anybody else could be Elaine.
Yeah.
History. But and yeah, I guess I'm sure they did have auditions, but no, I don't think I was a big enough deal at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hadn't done the show that I did it was like a comedy drama, so I don't know that. No, I didn't, but I'm so glad that it was Julia. Because really, I watched that. It's still, like you said, this is really one of the funniest shows on TV still to this day.
Couldn't agree more, and especially season 4, which you were a part of. So just like going back to the audition process a little bit, we were talking about that famous laugh. Like, did they give it any direction? Obviously, they reference Elmer Fudd and stuff later, but like, what did they say about the laugh? Like, what kind of laughs were you trying out, or did they have that Elmer Fudd in mind? Do you remember anything about that?
Now, I wish I could remember more clearly what I did, because it certainly felt like it was under pressure. And I guess you're right. Maybe I took the cue from Elmer Fudd sitting on a juicer, because that really is the inspiration there. And I don't know. I probably tried. I don't know. It was something about the machine gun delivery about that. And I just know there was a vast array. And I remember being a little nervous, like I wasn't hitting it. But I wish I could be more specific. But I can't believe when you say the number, it just...
No, it's great because like we mentioned, this was season 4, right? So for us the show was already hitting its cylinders, right? But for America it might have not been like peak yet as far as ratings go. We think 4 is amazing and obviously still had some pull, but I'm curious what it was like on set, the vibe as far as Bubble Boy became an instant classic, obviously, and The Watch right before it. But were you getting a sense on set that they knew they had something here as far as a hit? Like, was that already there, or was it more like they were kind of still like finding their way, that sort of thing? I mean, what did you get the sense like especially Larry David, I'm assuming, because he wrote both your episodes and obviously the showrunner. I mean, what was it like as far as him kind of steering the ship, if you will?
I think they knew that. By then, I remember being very nervous going in for it because everybody was talking about it, and I remember the atmosphere. It was a great set. I mean, as a guest star, sometimes you come in, and I have heard your other guests talk about this. It can be very intimidating to walk into a place where it looks like it's a family, and this show very much was just easy and great atmosphere and a lot of joking around. But obviously they were very comfortable with each other. So to walk into that sometimes can be daunting, but they were all just so warm. And not every set is like that where I think everybody down the line, but especially I have to say Jason Alexander, what a mensch. Like I said, I'm new in town. I am very nervous. I'm from New York, so we bonded over that, and I really felt like being the new kid in school. Where do you eat lunch? What do you do? He had lunch with me at that. I think there was a cafeteria right next door. The lot is in the Valley. It's where they used to shoot Mary Tyler Moore, and I think Roseanne was shooting there close to that time. And it was kind of like being. In a fairy tale, even though, of course I was there to work and everything. Just the whole atmosphere though was really exciting. And like I said, a little overwhelming. And he was just the kindest guy. Even here's too much information. I remember my stomach was upset because that's where my anxiety goes. And I didn't have a doctor in town yet. He gave me the name of his internist, just, GP. And he said, I mean, who does that? That it was just two Jews sitting around talking about ailment. Even, I was pretty young. Yeah. But
well, listen, Jason Alexander's from New Jersey. So, us Jersey guys, that's what we do. We look together.
But yeah, and that guy was my doctor for years. And I just thought he in particular, but everybody, I mean, from cast and crew, and even Michael Kramer. Michael Kramer. Oh my God. See, poor Michael Richards. I remember in the Bubble Boy episode working with him quite a bit because we went to the cabin together. And I remember spending a lot of time with him and I kept thinking, why was I thinking I was in a car? We were just sitting around in a car, but we
did. Yeah, you were. Yeah. You were driving that car. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, he's such an interesting person, so different from the kinetic kind of manic Kramer energy. He was much more philosophical, really zen. And I thought, I don't know if I understand everything he's saying, but I love listening to him talk. And he was just such good company and so nice to be around. So I have to say, they made that experience so fantastic. And yes, you could tell, you could feel that you were on a very successful show and they really knew what they wanted. And Larry was definitely around the whole time, kind of leading. He and Jerry shared that responsibility. And I knew afterward, when the show aired that season, I don't think anything I've done since would get me that much attention to be recognized. Knowing me from that, sometimes, in a store or a restaurant, just hearing my voice, or either, especially when the show had come out fairly recently, it was incredible being on a show in the top 10 like that. And you're right, at the beginning, that first year was not an audience hit. So, and I remember hearing, I think you guys have talked about it too, how that there wasn't an automatic pickup.
No, thank God they stuck with it. And, listen, 30 years ago, but I got to say, Jessica, you haven't aged a bit. You look great. And that's probably why you're getting recognized so much. But,
you're very kind. You're just saying that because you had the P girl on before me.
not at all.
That does not sound right. The girl who ate her peas.
Yeah. But hey, so what did you know? So you were in 2 episodes. Did you know going in you were going to be in 2, or did you just sign up for 1? What do you remember about kind of that?
I believe I just signed up for 1. And when I found out it was a 2-parter, it was so exciting. And I'll never forget. I mean, I never wanted to leave. That's a show you just don't ever want to say goodbye to. But I remember my agent being so excited because he said, now we're going to say you're recurring. And I said, wait a second. It's a 2. Can we really say that? He goes, yeah. So I thought, okay, if he says we can say it. So he put that out there for a while. And I thought, it feels like false advertising, but hey, I'm new. So.
Yeah. And it's funny, we were talking about right before you joined us about how you really should have been on another episode, right? Because we never really see what happens there. I mean, you're there with Mike, you're there with Kramer, right? He seemed to be kind of moving in on Jerry's territory. We were always kind of worried about that too. He drives you down to the lake house. You guys go swimming together, right? You seem like you're having fun with the towels. And then Jerry's like, what are you guys doing here? And then the episode ends. We never find out what happens there, right? So we wanted you 1 more episode. Would have been great if
that's a good point. I wish I had asked back then. But was the Cheever letters the next one? Did we find out right away about the cabin burning down?
Yeah, Cheevers was the next episode. Yep.
Okay, so I guess they felt, and rightfully so. I can see that was the main thrust of it. That's the
Cheever letters
they wanted to carry out. I know. Listen, Kramer did not have a lot of long-term relationships.
Yeah, that's true.
But it would have been, and you know what? I guess it would have looked a little wrong to go.
Kramer came in. Yeah. That's what we were kind of talking. Yeah, it's funny.
That's not what.
Right.
Yeah.
He's loyal to Jerry.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't move on, even if I'm sure that could have been a whole episode too.
Yeah, it could have been like a little twist there.
But I don't know, the chemistry with you guys in the car.
I know, the towel snapping. You guys should be having some fun.
Yes. You know what? I remember just being amazed, though, what he did with that fishing rod.
Oh, yeah.
Everything he does, the thing that I love still watching now is how spontaneous he makes everything look. But no, he really worked on all those details, from coming into the window to how he was working with the fishing rod. Just a master physical comedian. Just earlier today, I really am so grateful for Comedy Central having them on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For background noise, I don't like music. I cannot handle the news anymore. To have Seinfeld on is such a treat. And to watch him when he was the Calvin Klein modeling.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, listen, you worked with a lot of them, you dealt with a lot of them. It sounds like you have a favorite, not favoritism, but it sounds like you have a good kinship with Michael Richards. I mean, we actually spoke with his kind of longtime girlfriend, Ann Tallman. She might have been on set during that time as well. And, she raves about him, how he's, kind of misunderstood and just such a professional. But I guess what did you learn? You were so young on this show. Like, what did you take away, with being with these professionals that you kind of took on? And obviously you've had an incredible career, but what did you take from that early on experience with Seinfeld and kind of used throughout your career?
I have to say, the thing, professionally, as far as the work itself, I would say it really made me want to do multi-camera, half-hour, live in front of an audience work, because to watch how it really is like doing a play. And I came from New York and I had done a lot of theater, but as far as it was the closest thing to that. And I worked, I did some like sketch shows and character comedy. And I really loved the way that they worked every day and honing the jokes and any kind of physical bits. And they really, it was just such a master class in watching how to, you start off with something great because all the writing was good. I mean, that's what every show is based on, is having good writing. And the fact that they made it even better and they adapted. And by the time it got in front of an audience, it was so solid, and it got even better then with the response, because there really is nothing like that working in front of an audience. So it made me want to focus on doing that. And you don't realize that it's like lightning in a bottle. It's so hard to find a show, number one, of that quality and that lasts. I mean, like you said, back then, at least they gave things a chance, like with Cheers and Seinfeld. If they had gone by the ratings of the first 4 or the first 6, neither of those shows, to like the way they do now, might have lasted. So the fact, I mean, it's really hard to find, but I think that it kind of, the work ethic and how to improve things and speak up if you have suggestions. I mean, that was so great to watch, and I tried to take that away. And also, the thing that also is important I learned is that if you're lucky enough to be a regular on a show, treat everybody that comes in as a guest in your home, and be kind and respectful and inclusive, because they were, and it made such a difference. It makes you as a newcomer feel like you can give a better performance, and get rid of some of that tension and relax and really be part of the gang, the family. So yeah, I learned a lot. Like, obviously can't shut up about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible too. And the fact that, you got to spend, like you said, so much time on the set in 2 episodes. We just spent a lot of time in the Bubble Boy, but your first scene in The Watch, when they're all eating dinner together, so many guest stars, right? You Liz Sheridan, Barney Martin, Len Lesser, Uncle Leo. I mean, one of the best. Whenever Uncle Leo's involved, we love it. And the parents, just what do you remember about, working with those kind of next older generation of talent on that show that they kind of embrace? We've heard some great stories about Uncle Leo from other guest stars, and just, you were in that great opening scene at the restaurant. Just curious if you have anything to take away from those guys too.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because just watching it recently, and I remember standing there over in the back, as the hostess, and just, it was very difficult not to laugh watching them. The Seinfelds and Uncle Leo, I think, are just some of the greatest supporting characters ever. And I have to say, I was so comforted, and I felt so proud that Liz Sheridan was so forceful in her defense of me being beautiful, because I didn't feel beautiful. My hair looked really weird. And it was just, I had a lot of it, and I had this big swooping thing going on that was kind of like Barbra Streisand meets Baywatch. I don't know. It was just really not flattering. But when she was trying to press the case that I was beautiful, I should drop dead if she's not beautiful. And then she was like, yeah, she's pretty. Uncle Leo, she's okay. I could have watched them forever. Just, they're so perfect. And I love the bit of trivia that Barney Martin wasn't the first father, and yet it's so impossible to imagine him not being the dad. How perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's both. Jerry Stiller wasn't the first father either, but they got it right. They corrected course. So yeah.
I didn't wait. Now that you got me on that one, I knew there was a different actor as Jerry's dad in like 1 or 2, but was there another Frank that I didn't see?
Yeah, the original Frank. It was in the
He's in
handicap.
Christmas Vacation. That's I remember him. He's the dad in Christmas Vacation. Oh, John Randolph. That's it. Yeah, John Randolph was the original.
Now I have to go back.
Yeah, it's not
handicap. You might not find it because it's not in syndication, right, O'Hara? I think it's.
Yeah, so they don't show it. You'd have to get the old DVD.
Larry David reshot when they went back and actually reshot the scene.
They never aired it.
For syndication. They changed it for syndication purposely. Larry David went back and reshot the whole scene when they were ready to go to syndication, so it would stay true. So in all syndication, you don't see him.
Well, yeah, I vouch to you guys.
Yeah.
I love everything.
You can check it out on YouTube. They actually
it's on YouTube, yeah,
I will.
DVD box set as well. I believe has it.
But that dinner scene. I mean, there's something about that like mother-son dynamic, right? Like.
Well, what I love about it was the first time, like, I know in so many of them, you're a wonderful boy. Everybody should like you. You know what I mean? That's her energy is so, adoring of him. And I love that it was, of course you take it personally, over me. She's confronting Jerry. It was just an honor. It was an honor and a privilege to have that role. And I have to say about the hair, again, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but when I came back for Bubble Boy the second time, if you'll notice, I never said anything. I thought, well, whatever they want. I'm not going to, it's not my, I guess I could have said something, but no, I'm happy with whatever they want to do. Somebody must have given them a note. Because if you notice, I had a big thing of curly hair.
Yeah.
And what I realize now looking at it, I got the Elaine.
The plaid dress.
The little plaid dress.
Dress.
That jumper, that was very sexy schoolgirl jumper, wasn't that? It's so funny. You forget. I forgot, and I remember not feeling like
I would have watched Naked Gun right there with you.
Yeah.
Jerry turned you down.
Laugh all you want.
And I love the line in the referencing "I had my eye on Uncle Leo." Like that's always so memorable to me that you chimed in there with that. Was there anything? These are written by Larry David. What do you remember about Larry David kind of on the set and like how we know what Larry David's become, but what do you remember as a young actress about Larry David kind of on the set? Change in lines? Did he have like a lot of input with things you were doing? What do you recall?
I remember him being, very in charge of things. And I believe you're right. He did direct those. So but Tom Sharonis directed.
Yeah, Sharonis probably directed, but Larry David wrote both your episodes. Larry Charles and Larry David wrote The Bubble Boy.
He's a really lovely man, really very calm.
Sharonis?
Tom.
Yeah, we're big fans of him.
Yeah, he was so wonderful. But I remember, I think it makes you feel like they got used to a process because I know Larry was involved and would jump in and change things. And he and Jerry were, if I remember correctly, were really in sync with most things and a lot of back and forth. But he was very active. You're right. In a way, it almost, I wouldn't say he co-directed because he wasn't, I don't ever recall him, pushing Tom out of the way, but they just had a really nice rhythm and a way of working together.
Yeah, we've heard that it's almost like seamless, but like Larry was a showrunner, so he's there. He wrote that, he's kind of running it, but it didn't get step on Sharonis' toes as far as directing goes, which is, I guess, good to hear. Yeah,
energy too. It really they complemented each other. I just remember Tom being very gentle, kind, mellow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that scene when when George leaves the message on the answer machine about the laugh, and then Jerry rips it out of the wall, and he's like, the juicer, it extracts the vitamins. You're already out the door. But I mean, how much fun was that? We didn't really talk about Jerry too much. I mean, you did talk about Michael Richards a lot, and Jason Alexander, but what was it like bouncing those scenes off with Jerry, where you went from having a great time to I'm out the door? Just that kind of twist is always funny, and just kind of working with him. Season 4, he was just getting his legs under him. I would say acting wise, he wasn't as rough as it was at the beginning. He was just kind of maybe getting it, and I was curious how it was working with him in those scenes.
I think I was probably intimidated most by him because of his stature with the show and in the business. But I have to say, he was very unassuming, very relaxed. I agree with you. I think that season in particular, he seemed very comfortable, and especially in those kind of runs where he goes on like that. I almost then early remember Bulls, Bears, High Finance. So we were talking
people
about
from Connecticut. Yeah. People from Bulls, Bears, people from Connecticut. It's a great line. You're pulling season 2. That's a great reference right there. That's actually season 1, right? The stakeout.
It was. And that was when that was when it was very new, and you could feel, like you said, to get your legs under you. It takes, at least that season to get comfortable. And if considering that he had never done that type of acting before, by the time season 4 rolled around, he seemed really comfortable, really enjoying himself. So that kind of, once we started working, once you get over the, the feeling of being kind of in awe of being there, once we got working, it was really fun. So it was fun just to react to his reaction and to let all of that build up before walking out. But I do remember the playback of Jason's voice was so great because, again, just to be able to react to that statement, Elmer Fudd sitting on a juicer, it kind of happens by itself.
Yeah.
And Jerry's panic too. It's so great. The other thing I love so much watching when he does things like that is when he's trying not to laugh. I got to think that especially people working opposite him, I know it happened with Michael Richards so much and with all of them, but watching him trying to keep it together is so, to me, that's one of the best parts of the show.
Yeah. And for you to keep it together when he was doing the little wassily wabbit, whatever he was doing, my God.
It was the perfect imitation.
Yeah. So, wow. So it's interesting to watch, at least season 4 is just down the line, incredible. To watch sometimes get overlooked, but the Bubble Boy is, So when did you, I guess, back to how did you know, when did you find out, all right, I'm doing did they tape the Bubble Boy right away the week after? Was it or did you have to wait a while? I'm just curious kind of the timing and kind of what your expectations were with your agent and all that stuff. What do you remember about that?
I don't.
It was only 30 years ago, Jessica.
I feel awful, and I feel like somebody is involved in the show is going to be watching this and say, "How dare she get there?" So I'm afraid to act like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's interesting too because
Peter Melman. You guys talked to Peter quite a bit.
Yeah,
we have talked to him a couple times.
You were on.
You were in What You Know,
yes.
Right?
I was so happy to see I remember walking, we both lived in the same area, and I remember bumping into him every once in a while, and it was always so good to see him. And when that show came up, I was so happy to be able to do that, and I noticed he used a lot of actors, AJ Langer from the Mentee.
Yeah.
You know your Seinfeld.
You really do.
I watch episodes and I get such a rush seeing people as guests that I've worked with. Remember James, the wake up call guy with Elaine's feet in his face?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan McNamara. We did one of the first movies I ever did, Caddyshack II, together.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Philip's brother. Yeah. He was a rich kid and I was a poor kid. Megan Fay, the teacher, at the middle school career day that Jerry gets bumped for the...
Oh, and he used to walk like this. Yeah.
Megan and Jan Karam from The Switch.
We had her on.
Yeah, we talked to Jan. Yeah,
we were in the ensemble with Richard Kind and a few other people for a reboot of the Carol Burnett variety show.
Oh, wow.
Small world, but it's all connected to Jerry.
I did an episode of Castle with Jessica Tuck, who played draped in velvet. George goes out with her and he loves her furniture, but she has a male roommate.
Yeah.
Takes all the furniture.
Yale graduate, I believe, Jessica Tuck. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God! See, I could go on. It's like the Kevin Bacon game.
Yeah.
I try to see who I know, who I've worked with.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right behind Chris's shoulder there, my co-host, right behind his shoulder That's Jay McInerney's TV Guide cover. Jay McInerney of Bright Lights, Big City, which was that your first movie?
That was
no,
my absolute first professional job. I was still in college, I think, and I worked with Kiefer Sutherland, Michael J. Fox, and Kelly Lynch.
Yeah, we talked to Jay. He was one of our first guests because of that TV Guide episode. The TV Guide.
Oh, kidding! I'm trying to think. That was, I guess, at the beginning of his huge fame from that.
Yeah, I think it was his first. Yeah, I think it was the first.
And a little wrinkle. Jay McInerney, yeah, who wrote that article and wrote Bright Lights, Big City. He claims that he came up with the hipster doofus line that refers to Kramer. He said he mentioned that to Larry David at a party. Who knows if we'll ever get to the bottom of it, but only Larry David.
That's, what, it's very impressive. It's a great line. It's hard to believe he wouldn't be telling you the truth on that.
Yeah. Well, so you sound like a really great fan. We love to kind of hear from fans. Like, obviously the Bubble Boy, we have that in I believe our top 10, or at least top 20. What are some of your favorite episodes throughout the years? Or do you lean toward? Sounds like you're leaning towards the early years, kind of the Melman stuff. But would love your
That's so.
Like your 5 favorite episodes. What if you shot them off? Okay. Not including your own.
Okay, that's good, because I think those are. I'm glad that's out. My sister and I talk about this quite a bit. She's also a super fan, and we both are huge fan of the Keith Hernandez episodes. The second spitter.
Yeah.
Where Jerry talks about, you meet this really great guy. He's a baseball player. I'm jealous of everybody. I mean, that those two together, if we can count them as one. Oh my God! See, it's too. Now you're getting me nervous. I'm going to forget. Jimmy.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you not love and Kramer? We were wondering if that could be shot today with Kramer.
We had Anthony Stark on. He was actually our first guest star from the show.
Met Jimmy. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Great guy. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, but I know there's a lot of controversy on the show, but and we've had Winona on, Kim Guerrero, the cigar store Indian. Listen. She knew it was done tastefully, and there was just the utmost respect from the writers to kind of the subject, and I think that's what made it work, and that's why it's still funny. Could it be done today? Yeah, right. Who knows? But I mean,
you know what? I take it back. I mean, people are pushing the envelope all the time, and like you said, when you watch it today, it still feels like it's not done in a mean-spirited way, and it's true to the characters. Maybe the choice, people wouldn't tend to touch it because they don't, want any controversy. But I think they handled everything great. The Paula's episode, I worked with Paula Marshall, Sharon. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. We just had her on. We just spoke with her. She's great.
I think we did a show called Cupid in Chicago together. That's a great episode. I mean, that's a classic. And
sure.
That's another season 4 that you were in. Yep.
I keep picking season 4, don't I? I think that look, they're all great, and I would watch them from beginning to end. But I agree that the first season was getting their legs, and it's that middle chunk that I find that I enjoy them most. Like one of the greatest guest stars. I'm not sure that I would put in the episodes, but Detective Bookman.
Yeah. Yeah, Philip Baker Hall. Yeah,
that's watching Jerry watch him is a whole other show too.
Yeah, you're speaking to us here.
Listen, if you guys ever need a Robin Quivers,
yes,
I'm here for you.
Hey, as long as you think we're stern, we appreciate that.
I do, and I believe me, I grew up on that too.
Yeah, of course.
The pre-Beth years, sorry. That's,
when he was funny, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
what are my people?
K-Rock, right? 92.3.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, he was, well, that was it. I mean, and again, early 90s, I mean, that was our peak of, I think, comedy with Stern on the radio in the morning. You had Seinfeld at night. You had Saturday Night Live, I think, at its peak with Farley, Dana Carvey,
Hartman.
Spade, Hartman. Yeah, those guys. So for us, that's kind of the golden era of comedy. Any way you shake it, from movies to television to Howard Stern, for sure.
That's such a good point. You're right. Those were the 91, 92 to the 90s.
30 years ago.
And some things still stand up to the test of time.
The Bubble Boy certainly does. I'll tell you that.
Thank you. I think so too. I think the whole show does. Like I said, I'm not only a participant, but I'm a fan.
So like you said, you've been in a million things since you've worked with, obviously, all these different types of people, Michael J. Fox. But it sounds like you get most recognized from Seinfeld still to this day.
You know what? I think so. And I think, again, like I said, that power of a top 10 show, you'll find some people that will catch, other things that are a little bit more obscure. That thing, the Inspectors that I did recently, that for certain, but a much smaller, oh my God, a much smaller audience. But I would say Seinfeld, absolutely. And the weirdest thing is that sometimes it's because, we all change over time, but it's the voice. They recognize the voice, and that's even without the laugh. So I find that it is a little distressing too, even around the house. If the episode comes on and I'm not aware of it, I think somebody sounds familiar, and it's me. So I guess that's how we identify people, especially if you're big TV watchers.
Yeah, I mean, that laugh will forever live on. It was just incredible, and it was great to hear that you kind of had to test that out during the audition process, which is interesting. But again,
it is. I wish. If I was a better liar, I would make up the other things I did. I just don't remember what I tried out, but whatever it was such a clear winner. You know what I mean? It wasn't like between this or that. And now that you mention it, I think the Elmer Fudd sitting on a juicer line may have come later after the laugh.
Yeah, that I could see that. Larry just throwing lines out, one either Larry David or Larry Charles, maybe trying to see what sticks.
You're right. I think it was like weird laugh. It was like we knew it would be a weird laugh. We didn't know what. And then I think as the week evolved, they write from that Monday to I think it was Monday to Friday. I think by the end, that was the winner. That's what they felt was the funniest.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. The watch is actually sort of a 2-part episode, right? The Wallet comes before it, and they actually aired on the same day when they aired live. But curious if it was a shooting different, like you weren't on set for the other episode shot too, because they aired the same time. I don't know if they shot them as 1 hour-long episode or if they shot them as 2 different ones. You remember anything about that? Because they air as one. Yeah, The Wild and the Watch.
Yeah, no, I definitely wasn't around for that because that's another great episode.
Yeah. My wallet's gone.
My wallet. Yeah, and the Velcro.
Yeah.
And yes, that was no. I wasn't around for any of that. And I believe
were you on? So The Watch was, it had Bob Balaban and Russell Dalrymple in that episode. Were you on? I was Crazy Joe Divola, because there was. When you were giving out your number to Jerry, Elaine was giving out her number to Crazy Joe kind of at the same time. If you recall that episode, I never do this type of thing. And Elaine gave Crazy Joe her number, and then they flash right to you at the restaurant where he does the fish joke, and you're giving out your number. Did you have any interaction with those guys, Divola and Russell?
No, I never saw Russell. And I don't think I met, is it Peter Crombie, right?
Yeah, Peter Crombie. Yeah.
I think I asked somebody, I knew some people who had worked at MTV, and I said, Joe Divola he was an executive at MTV, and they did that a lot. Because
they did do a lot.
Lawyer for something early on, an entertainment lawyer, and it was Lloyd Braun, who was also, in the mental institution with the gum.
Yep.
So they used, Gavin Pallone was Larry's manager, I think, at the time. And he was the one who had Farfel, the dog that Jerry had to care of.
Yeah, yeah, and even I believe the Bubble Boy, the voice of the Bubble Boy, right, was a writer. It was Heyman. Yeah,
John Heyman,
yeah, John Heyman.
If you haven't talked to him, you must. He is one of the greatest people, and we kept in touch over the years. We're both big Yankee fans.
Oh,
so
nice.
We bonded over that, and we would complain and talk about that quite a bit. And one of the greatest guys, and great voice.
I love that they just use this guy's voice.
His name too. Remember?
Yeah. He just go John Heyman as the coach. Yeah. That's why he brought. But his voice on the Bubble Boy is just amazing. How about taking your top off and just you're expecting this little kid to be in a bubble. They just use his grumpy old man voice. It's just incredible choice. It's so Larry David and Larry Charles asked to just throw that voice in there. It's amazing. Brian Doyle Murray too is in that episode. I'm not sure if you had spent any time with him.
I think I briefly saw him. I don't remember talking to him much, but yes, he was so perfect as Bubble Dad. And I did a pilot later with his brother Joel Murray, so I remember bringing that up that I had met.
Yeah, there's so many crazy connections.
So many talented Murrays in the world.
Yeah, like Pat Finn, who we had on the show, was Joe Mayo. He's great friends with all the Murrays, and the Chicago kind of connection is unique. So it's funny. You mentioned the Hernandez episode. We're Yankee fans as well. Yes. So you must love the Paul O'Neill, Buck Showalter, Danny Tarble episodes as well.
That's another great one. And I thought of all of them, O'Neill was the best. So natural, so relaxed. His scene with Kramer was great.
Kramer relaxes everybody.
Yeah, I think it's Michael Richards.
Yeah. You know what? The other guys like Danny Tarble was okay. I think Jeter was on briefly, wasn't he? And he was very still.
Yeah, him and Bernie.
Bernie was on, yes. But I love that they used that. The whole Steinbrenner thing was with Larry's voice was also perfect. But I have to ask, did you guys ever talk to Wayne Knight?
Not yet.
I hope that happens, because I don't think in that episode, and I don't know that I met him on that set, but we did a show. It was on for like a season called The Second Half, where he was another stand-up. John Mendoza was a sports writer, and I think Wayne was his editor, and I was his sister. So I was lucky enough to work with look, Newman is iconic, but Wayne is just a spectacular person.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he's just been in some amazing movies.
The yogurt episode. We can't forget the yogurt episode.
That was Lloyd Braun name tags. Forget about it.
Oh, the Giuliani's in that. That's
yeah.
Lloyd Braun was Dinkins guy. Well, they filmed two different endings to that. And actually, the fun fact is, Jackie Childs, actually, Phil Morris taped. He was supposed to be Dinkins' new assistant, and he was gonna do the ending that Giuliani did. They taped two different versions, but Giuliani obviously won the election, and that's what got aired. So,
no kidding. Yeah. You guys really do know everything.
Well,
Oh, I'm so impressed.
But luckily, we have a Robin with us, so here we go.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to work now harder.
So, what are you up to these days? We'd love to hear kind of what you're working on, what you got planned. We'd love to hear what you're up to. Anything you want to promote, we'd love to hear.
Oh, I wish. No, I've mainly been writing with a partner for the last show that I did. We started working together. So we've got a few things out there. Hopefully something will work, but we mainly stick toward comedy because it's shorter and it's more fun to write. And so that's like a whole different way that I can see going, hopefully, if things work out. And for the most part, just auditioning. It's a whole new world. I think I've heard some people talk about it with you about self-tape, the whole world of self. You don't go anywhere anymore, which is really difficult because it was always nice to be able to interact with people and to get feedback and to, especially if you're trying to do something that's funny, to get some kind of reaction, and also some direction. So it's just a different world now.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to not be able to connect in the room. It's got to be, yeah.
And a lot of times, especially at the beginning, I was doing a lot of going on tape a lot with just somebody on the phone. So I remember here, there's a great story about My Three Sons, the Fred McMurray show. This is definitely before your time.
Yeah.
I was not into this. It was in the 60s, I think. And Fred McMurray was a big movie star. So he was playing the dad to three boys and their live-in man-made Uncle Charlie. And he just didn't want to work more than like 3 days a year. And they shot all of his shows, all of his coverage for everything. 22 episodes. And then he'd leave. And the rest of the year, they would shoot the rest. And he would be like, a tennis ball or something like that. And I thought, if he can do it, then I guess you just have to adjust. We have to adjust to these things. But it really makes you miss working with people. That's what I said. Even it's great to be on any set, but particularly on a set where you have a live audience, which I don't even know if they're back to that. But more comedy now is done single camera anyway. So still you have a crew and you do have the interaction with people and feedback. So it's all over.
Best of luck with all that. It's funny you mentioned, you and your partner writing. I just always go back to season 4 and thinking about Jerry and George trying to write.
I so identify with that.
Right.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Yes. Let's go.
Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, they're like, now we're, yeah.
Believe me, that I identify. And my favorite thing too from that one is, oh God, all of the pilot episodes. When actually making the pilot too is another classic. But when they said, "What's Elaine going to say?" I don't know. What do women say? How do women think?
It's so funny, and it's funny you mentioned that. Peter Melman thought the most comfortable person that he wrote for on the show was Elaine, believe it or not.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But other like we've had some other Andy Robin and Cabot, those guys preferred like they could just do George, right? So everyone kind of had their person that they could lean into and write for. So it's so interesting. But these writers are so talented that obviously you knew that firsthand working with.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can be the funniest person in the world, but if the script isn't good and it's not smart and it's not funny, there's only so much you can do. No, that's where it all started with that show. I mean, those 4 people and every guest that they had supporting. That's the other thing. Each single guest star was just seems like magical that they picked just the right person. They brought so much to it, but it was all on the page when they started.
Yeah, and listen, you were part of that. I mean. The guest stars, in our mind, like make the show. Like I think the unselfishness of those 4 main characters to let you guys shine, whether it's you, Liz Sheridan, Uncle Leo. I mean, it was just a sight to see. So, I mean, this has been a treat, Jessica. We cannot thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I'm so glad that you had me. And like I said, I'm serious. Anytime you need a third hand here.
Thank you so much.
Give us one more laugh as we get out of here. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Jessica. So much fun.
Perfect.
Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Guys, it really was fun. And you know what? There's still so many episodes. Close Talker with Judge Reinhold. A Low Talker, Puffy Shirt.
High Talker.
High Talker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk with her.
We're talking to Kelly Caulfield soon. We're so excited.
So funny and so great on Living Color.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was a big fan of that show. I can't wait to talk to her. She'll be great.
I think she did 2 episodes as well, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah,
man, you know your stuff. This is
you might be the biggest fan we've ever talked to, I think. I really do. As far as knowing the show, I mean, you definitely are the biggest fan we've talked to, I think.
I would take that as a badge of honor, and I am going to go now look for the original Frank.
Yeah.
Probably something I did not know. So thank you guys. And I have to say, I've been watching the show. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome.
I learn a lot, and you guys are great to talk to. And I'm really happy that you asked me.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. Cheers.
Bye.